Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested last week, accused of ushering the man through a side door away from agents. He was later taken into custody
yesterday. Court Judge Shelley leaves a federal courtroom emotional. Federal prosecutors said the judge and her court officer, Wesley McGregor, helped an undocumented immigrant sneak out a back door at the Newton courthouse last year to avoid an immigration officer waiting in the lobby.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Did y'all know that I really do appreciate y'all? I really do. And if y'all appreciate me, you know how you can show me the fastest way would be to just touch, tap, tickle, get involved with that like button. You know that we appreciate it. Helps us out, and of course it helps you because it helps us. Now y'all look, y'all are not going to believe this. Y'all are not going to believe this. Mind blown. Let me get this straight, y'all. There is a Boston judge who in 2018 allegedly helped a person who's in the country without permission sneak out of the courtroom while ICE was trying to detain him. Does that sound familiar? Do you know that there's a Wisconsin judge who's facing criminal charges right now for the pretty much the exact same reason? And there's a Boston judge who in 2018 caught this kind of case. So let me get this straight.
District Court Judge Shelley leaves a federal courtroom emotional. The victim, her lawyer says, of a politically motivated prosecution.
Shelley Joseph is absolutely innocent.
A federal prosecutor said the judge and her court officer, Wesley McGregor, helped an undocumented immigrant sneak out a back door at the Newton courthouse last year to avoid an immigration officer waiting in the lobby.
This case is not about immigration. It is about the rule of law.
The undocumented immigrant had been deported twice before and was in court on a drug charge and a fugitive from justice charge. Court documents show his attorney, the prosecutor, and the judge had concerns he had been misidentified by federal authorities.
There's really no way to explain the decision to bring this case except the politics of the Trump administration.
And this judge, this Boston judge, is finally about to face a public hearing for allegedly helping this undocumented migrant sneak out of her courtroom to dodge ICE back in 2018. Okay, so let's break this down. Her name is Judge Shelley Joseph. She's sitting on the Boston Municipal Court, and she's going to be headed to a public hearing on June 9th for what they're calling willful judicial misconduct. Now, what is she accused of having done? She's accused of having helped Jose Medina Perez, twice deported, y'all. This is a person who had been deported twice, suspected of, slanging packs, as some people might say. She's suspected of helping him slip out the back door in her courtroom to avoid ICE agents who were there with a detainer for him.
The ACLU calls the prosecution an assault on justice, but federal authorities say the judge broke rules by stopping a court recording and telling that immigration officer to leave the courtroom and wait in the lobby.
I have heard the occasional gasp of dismay or outrage at the notion of holding a judge accountable for violating federal law. But if the law is not applied equally, it cannot credibly be applied to anyone.
Now, the Massachusetts Attorney General has come out strongly against this prosecution. The judge has now been suspended as the case moves forward.
So I showed up and judge like, nah, you can't take this guy. It literally sounds almost exactly like what we're seeing here in Wisconsin.
Good evening. We start tonight at 6 o'clock with the Wisconsin Supreme Court suspending a judge accused of helping a man evade federal immigration agents. Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested last week, accused of ushering the man through a side door away from agents. He was later taken into custody. In the order today, the court says it's in the public interest to temporarily relieve the judge of her duties.
And similar to the current case, right? A Trump-appointed U.S. attorney hit Judge Shelley Joseph with federal charges. This was in 2019 for obstruction of justice. So this is nothing new, y'all. Okay, what we're seeing in Wisconsin is nothing new. Obstruction of justice and conspiracy, the whole nine. All right. But under the Biden administration, the charges were dropped in 2022. Now, did Biden have anything to do with it? Well, apparently they say, look, we'll just let the state deal with it. So now it's going to a state entity, the Massachusetts Commission on Judicial Conduct. So that's a body that is going to operate with a different level of energy, so to speak, than federal prosecutors. Now, I will remind you that Wisconsin Judge Hannah Dugan is currently suspended. She was suspended just yesterday by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. We did a story on that, of course. She was suspended by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, supposedly, I presume, while this entire criminal case of hers unfolds, and she hired a conservative attorney to help with her representation, an attorney who doesn't seem to be very friendly with Donald Trump, even though he is on the conservative side. This guy is deep with the Supreme Court, though, having argued 100 cases before this. Is that even possible? He's probably one of the most experienced people in the world right now. So what's going on with letting guys slip out of the back door, people? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, do we live in a simulation, people? Have any of y'all ever thought like we might actually live in a simulation? Like this might not all be real. Like there might be some entity out there controlling all this, or it's like a video game almost, you know? And like they run out of storylines, so they just repeat the same one. Like, hey, we need a judge to do something. Have somebody run out, have them help somebody run out the back door. Yeah, we already did that years ago. Do it again. Just do it again, you know? Anyway, y'all, I'm on a little bit of a rant, but I just kind of can't believe this. Of course, I'd like to know what my people think. So, y'all, Trump is going after these judges for doing this sort of thing, and Biden, in the meantime, was saying, we'll let the states handle it. Should this be a federal issue? Should this be a federal crime? If it should, do you think that these judges should actually be prosecuted and face jail time? Or do you think that this maybe should be referred to a state body, maybe a judicial ethics committee or something along those lines for that kind of penalty, like an ethics penalty, but not a criminal penalty? I would like for y'all to let me know, but my mind blown that this same thing happened years ago and it's coming back up in the news now because this judge is about to go and face potential consequences. I'd like to know what y'all think. Of course, please leave a comment below. But before you do, please hit that share button and put in somebody's Facebook, email, text message, WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, all of the social mediums, and send this. Wouldn't other people, don't you think people should know about this? That this keeps happening? I think people should know. Help let them know. Help spread the word. Thank y'all for watching. I want to say that I love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.